Hello everyone, my name's Richmond. I'm very excited to be doing a new segment again on questions and answers of death, dying, reincarnation and the afterlife. We've had a lot of people submit a lot of questions, very good questions. My credentials being, I've studied evidential mediumship for a very long time, spending a lot of money on that, palliative care nurse as well, a certified past life regressionist, and I've had 2 near-death experiences myself in an operation, 2 different operations. So, and I'm very passionate about studying trance mediumship and these things. So we hope these questions will be able to answer with really great detail. So I'm very excited to go for. I've got my lovely assistant today. She'll be actually reading the questions to me and we'll be able to go from there. So, I'm sure that everything we've asked. So this is tailored for people that may be coming towards passing or scared of death. Or you've lost a loved one and you wondered about that. So please sit back and grab a cup of tea and we'll just go through these wonderful questions.
Our first question is, do people know they're about to pass over?
That's a very good question. So from the studies we've had, it appears that there is a inputted into us when we will pass. So some people will acknowledge approximately 8 days before they're passing, no matter how the condition being, of accident or otherwise, that they are leaving this world. So, and a lot of other people will talk about the person that's passed would often refer to knowing that they would never be here to live to be an old person, yet they pass in an accident. So there does seem to be signs showing that certain souls know that they're allowed when they are going to pass, and it's approximately 8 to 10 days before they go. Great question.
The second question is, does dying physically hurt?
So that's a good question. Does dying physically hurt? What happens is your soul starts to leave the body previous to passing. So it acknowledges a certain pain level and then we start to leave. The soul itself, the conscious part of the consciousness starts to leave. So only to a certain point and then it stops and then we're above the body and we're viewing what's happening. So technically the answer would be no, because we get to a certain point and now we're just viewing what's happening. It's a separation of just the shell, which is referred to as the body. Great question.
Our third question is, do people passing over experience their life flashing before their eyes?
Yes, in most cases people will say, especially when we've studied near-death experiences, a lot of things that we have happened in our life will come back to us, and they're usually great memories that we have, so it's a little bit of a recall, a little bit of a flash goes through. So yes, when we study near-death experiences, they will say they've come back and what happened was in the last few moments of their passing, their temporary passing before their soul returns, that they do see a lot of what's happened in their life, all the good things that they will take back now into the etheric veil, into the afterlife. Mm-hmm.
The fourth question is, when they're in their final hours or moments transitioning over from the physical world into the spirit world, can they hear what's going on around them and know who's there with them, even though they may generally be physically unresponsive?
Yes. So 100% yes, okay? Because the etheric body has leaving, soul is leaving, it is very aware of everything that's going on. So they don't hear with their ears, they feel with vibration, and yes, 100% they're very aware of what's happening in the room, who's there, anything that's going on. So yes, often when we bring, as mediums, we bring through those people that are past, we'll say, well, I was very aware. And I remember doing a mediumship for a young man that had been in a coma for 9 months, and then he passes. They turn off his machine. He'd been in a bad accident. He talked about everything that he could see and hear with his etheric body while he was here. So it was pretty amazing of what they know. So yes, they are very aware of what's happening.
Having witnessed a white fog when my loved one passed, does this happen to everybody passing?
So the white fog's often referred to as the soul leaving. That's often the common term, and not everyone is able to see it depending on their level of grief. A lot of nurses and doctors will tell you, because it's a regular event for them, working in that field, that they do see that often. And what the white fog is often the other people from the etheric veil that are associated with your group, your soul group, your loved ones, are there to collect your person, so the person doesn't leave alone. There is always a team that comes to get them. So depending on the level of grief, some people will see that what you're calling a white fog, or the soul leaving. So good question. Yeah.
Can you enter the afterlife without dying? Is it that as soon as your soul enters the afterlife experience that your body dies?
Yes. So yes, you can enter the afterlife, but come back. I'm living proof, and there's plenty of other people. I've done it twice accidentally, in 2 operations that have gone wrong in an operating theatre. So my experience was that I was above my body, and that I was not here. I was with immense, intense presence. It was formless, and it very much about love and peace. And it felt like the energy of formless people that were with me as well. So there was no actual beings there. It was just in this intense love and kindness, and I wanting to stay. As everyone will tell you that's had a near-death experience, they really feel like the vibration, they want to stay, because that's where we're from originally. So yes, you can have that experience, and then if it's not your time, you know the soul will come back in. So we come back in because there's a cord, they call it the etheric cord, the silver cord that we're attached to. It wasn't severed, so we were meant to come back in. So yes, you can have that experience and come back, but not to do it. So I'm very much against people that say, oh look, I've been testing with drugs and I want to try and do that. I say, please do not do these things, because it is very wrong. Lots of things can go wrong. It's only by accident these things happen. If you're meant to have that experience, for me it was invaluable for what I do now. In hindsight it wasn't at the time, at that moment, but yes, it's invaluable. So yes, you can. Mm-hmm.
What happens to the soul when you die?
Very good question. So when the soul finally severs, it's what they call the silver cord, the etheric cord that's attached. We come here to the space that's called the etheric veil, and Christians call it heaven. So we come here to that space which is right in front of us, and we are back with the consciousness, the higher part aspect of us. So we are part of that aspect of something larger. It is formless and will appear to different people as they need to. So the soul just transitions here instantly, so we can't be trapped, or all that can be just explained easily when people see that. But we just transition here to this etheric, and then all the soul group people that we're from, those energies, an aspect of them is here with us as well. So we go straight over, and we don't need helping over. Sadly, I've heard many cases where people have paid money to mediums who said that they needed helping over. We don't, because your soul group would be waiting for you, of course, and of course there's the consciousness people refer to as God, divine, source, creator. It's there as well, so it wants you back home safe, so that you can go ready for your next incarnation or a next travel where you need in the universe. Mm-hmm.
Who meets us when we pass over?
So a good question, who meets us when we pass over? So it's your group of souls that have been with you previously on earth, that have already previously transcended an aspect of them, because some of them, an aspect may have already been gone off on another incarnation. We're not taught that, and we should know a lot more about that, because we are formless. An aspect of our soul is forever working on ourselves. So all your previous loved ones have left, and people will often say that it will be, when I've brought them through in mediumship and other studies, that it's people they didn't even know that were their relatives that they hadn't met. So, distant grandparents and other relatives, babies they'd lost, were all waiting for them. So it's pretty amazing of the energies. Now, you've got to keep in mind now, they're formless, all right? They're formless. They're all waiting for them. So that's great, a great question. And, of course, the consciousness and aspect of that is, all right? So all that is waiting for you. and we can feel that. Very good.
When we meet our loved ones in heaven, what form do they appear to us in? And is there a specific age that they will appear to us?
So that's a really good question. So the question again, we'll just reiterate there, what form will our loved ones meet us in? Now, depending on how much how the person's passed is how they want to appear to you when you go over. So if they've passed from, some tragedy and it's physically changed their form, they don't want to appear as that. So often they will appear when they were the happiest and the healthiest. And often, we'll be doing mediumship and we'll bring through, we might say, I've got your 80-year-old grandfather here, but look, he's just appearing to us as when he was 30, and you'd remember an outfit that he used to wear and how he would dance and be happy, and he wants you to remember him as that. So we have this ability to appear as we want to everyone when we leave this world, to help our group here to be happy so that we feel comforted. So we never have any of the pains or anything that's happened. So if we were missing a limb from an accident, we are now just whole again, because of course we are formless, we are energy, so we don't need the limbs of a body and things. It's all just this beautiful energy. So we appear as when we were the happiest to you, so that you feel really great about knowing that we have gone, so it helps with your stress and grieving process. Very good.
What do our loved ones do in the afterlife?
Good question. What do our loved ones do in the afterlife? So it's very interesting. There's lots of studies on this, and we aren't given an extreme amount of information, but we've been given more than what we were ever given previously. So when I was raised, we were taught that when we left this world, we got a set of angel wings if we were good. If we didn't, we went down to hell if we'd done something incorrect. That is actually, we can disprove now. So from all the regressions, thousands of regressions I've done, and from all the people I've brought through, and all the studies I do from other mediums and listen to near-death experiences, there seems to be no space where there is atrocities, where people go that may have done something you perceive to be incorrect. So what they seem to be doing is going back to this consciousness, which is one aspect, one soul, and we become that again. So we become a piece of that soul ready to have another incarnation. So they are working on themselves all the time. So at any time, a medium or yourself, so everyone, I truly believe if you meditate and you set the intention and watch your grieving levels, you can feel your loved ones at any time. So you will be able to feel them, feel their presence, and know that an aspect of them is with you as well. So you can feel them, but they have returned back here, which is right in front of us, not elsewhere. The universe is right here. So I do believe from perusing the questions, we're actually going to go into that a little bit more in another question.
Do people that have passed over understand there is a life purpose? Do they understand what the role was in the world, in the life that they've just lived?
Absolutely. Which is really, then we're getting into a really delicate situation, because we are very aware of when we leave our body and we've passed from this world, everything becomes very clear of why we had to have certain experiences. So there's no lessons, they are experiences that we have asked to have because of who our soul has been previously. And that's what most people can't get their head around. They say, I'm a good person in this life, these things should never have happened to me. They'll never know who their soul has been previously, even if they do get a lot of regressions. Sadly, people will say that they've been to a medium and the medium has told them their past lives. We can't actually prove that. So, that's a really important thing to remember, that everything of why we go through certain things. So when we're getting a message from our loved one, from an evidential medium, which are pretty rare, mediums that won't be looking at you and taking from your energy psychically, they're really proving, going through, giving you really good evidence they've got you. The person has become really evolved. So they're bringing through now. So they only are showing characteristics of who they are, but they're well aware of why they had to treat you in a certain way because of who you are, your karma previously with them. Everything in their life book is an emanation to them, a vibration, and they're very aware of all this information. So, the more that we study on our spiritual self while on earth, we can be aware of this. So no one in this life hurts us at all. It is all because of who we are, who our soul is and has been, that certain beautiful experiences and not so beautiful experiences need to happen to us. So all questions and all answers are to be love, and just see everything is transitory, because when we pass, we're well aware of why everything has to happen. So nothing happens randomly. Okay, everything is pre-planned, and because of your vibration and your thought process of where this happens.
How long after our beloved animals have passed do they wait to communicate with us? Do they wait for us in the spirit world before they reincarnate?
So our animals are part of our group, so our soul group. Now they can communicate within seconds, as in humans as well can do the same. I'm not sure if we're going to bring that question up again. But yes, absolutely straight away. So your beautiful loved ones can, your beautiful animals can show you within minutes they are with you. Again, it's your grieving levels. So if you set the intention of, I need a sign, can you show me something, let me smell you that you're around, they will do that for you. So they are very aware of where they are. They are not trapped or anything as well. They have gone over to the etheric veil. All loved ones have got them as well, and they can communicate within seconds. If a medium can't bring them through, it just depends on the rapport you have with the medium or the medium's training. Okay?
How long after our loved ones have passed can they communicate?
Now, this is a good question, okay? So a lot of mediums will answer a lot of different questions. So I'll speak on personal experience alone. As a nurse, I could see it within seconds. I would say to someone that's passing, and I'd spoken to them previously and they were very aware of what I used to do, I would say, show me a sign. So within seconds of them passing, minutes of them passing, amazing things would happen. Like radios that weren't even plugged in would turn on and they would play I'll see you again in the palliative care unit. There was no electricity to them, and it was just like they just wanted to show me that last sign. So my view on this is very much depending on your level of grieving. Okay, so this is all because that's a vibration. So if you set the intent, I'm looking forward to you communicating. If you've previously said to your loved one, can you set some signs up of little things for me to show me that you know that you've passed, it's easy for them to do. So if a medium says that they have to wait for so many months, it's because of your grieving level they are concerned about, because it does make a difference to your reading if you are really heavily grieving and upset about something that's gone on. It's going to alter the relationship between you and your medium, and it's going to make a difference to how your medium feels about bringing your loved one in. So that's why mediums say that they want to wait 4 months, 6 months before they will do a reading. I myself, I enjoy bringing them in within a day. I love it, only because I think that they come to me because they know my intention is I just want to be of service to the spirit world, to the lovely people of heaven. So my theory is within moments they are able to do it. It's just your grieving level and how you work with it all.
We in this physical world have 5 senses: the ability to see, touch, smell, taste, and hear. Do the spirits in the afterlife have these senses too?
So our soul has heightened senses. That's why people suggest that we meditate more, we learn yoga, because yoga heightens your senses as well. When we do these techniques, we can have higher senses than we do in a standard body. So we then return to what we have when we leave this world. So souls have a highly evolved senses. They don't see us with their eyes, of course, because they're not in a body. They sense us very much so, and they're very aware of our feelings, and they're scanning us all the time. So think of them like a scanner. They're picking up on your emotions. They know what's going on. So they're very heightened, and we are able to develop similar senses if we meditate daily, and if we, of course, do yoga, because yoga techniques can change your senses as well and heighten your intuition and your feeling. So that's a good question.
Do past people live vicariously through loved ones, experience what we experience?
So when people have left this world, they are able to be part of our life back and forth. So they are able to be part of wonderful events, birthdays, anniversaries. They know that those things are still going on. And I find it funny because I've been through so many men who couldn't remember their wife's birthday or anniversary, who all of a sudden saying happy birthday for whatever date it was, and happy anniversary, and the wife will say they've never remembered that previously. They're very aware of all these things now. So yes, they are able to still be very much part of your life, but they're also working on their transition. So it's really important we see that they're working on where they need to be with their whole complexity of being part of the consciousness. All right, so that's a wonderful question. Yes, they are part of all that.
Why did my loved one choose this all-around horrible death experience in this lifetime? What was the lesson they were learning, and did they level up? Why now?
So a good question. We will never know 100% of anyone's single life plan, but we have to have certain experiences because of who our soul has been previously. And so I just get factual information when people say, I don't believe that, I regress them, and they'll say, I can't believe that I'm doing these things or what I've been capable of previously. It's also a vibrational pattern of your life currently. So if the person's thoughts are not congruent with life itself, if they're not happy with things that are happening in their life, their vibrations, because we are vibrational, start to drop, and then we start to attract certain incidences. So everything is pre-planned that we will pass in a certain way from what we can find. So these experiences are pre-set up. But it also helps the soul group who's left on the earth to dig into their own spirituality. Sadly, the worst information is 98% of people will actually fail their life contract because they will refuse to work on themselves to be love and kindness. So they will most people say, oh, it's just a life, you just got to do it, be a good person, be a good relative, and I'm a great person, and then I get old and retire and I die. That's a failure. It's about your soul, the essence of your soul, of the love that you emanated, the service work, the kindness that you did, how you helped all these people wanting nothing in return. So most people will fail, and they will view someone in their life as perceptions of they don't like someone in their life, which it's always an experience to see if you will be loved. You're not a doormat, but you must view everyone as an aspect of you, an aspect of your higher being, soul, the consciousness. So most people fail because they will all come up with, oh, I don't like this person, oh, this person's hurt me, I don't like what they do. But when we see that there is a higher plan going on with everyone, then it changes it. So I hope that answers that question.
Do people who have passed need to learn how to communicate with us?
So now that's probably a hung jury on this one, because a lot of mediums will say, no, absolutely, they have to learn because I can't bring them through. From my personal experience, what I've found is it's the medium's training, the medium's demeanour, and how they try and work with that person. I find that if they've never been through a medium before and they've usually just passed, they will show you, I've not been through a medium before. So it'll come and it's mind-to-mind communication. They're not actually talking to us. They just put it in our mind. I've not done this before. So sometimes I'll say it's a bit of a buzz, you'll get a bit of a buzz feeling because this is a bit of a hoot. But a lot of people that were extremely religious will come through very quickly, and they will show you with a religious symbol, I did not believe in this on earth at all, but now I'm doing it. So I think that they'll show you they're new to it, but then once you, in minutes, get some rapport going with them, they're easy to do it because it's just a vibration. They are a vibration, we're a vibration, so they're just going to get that frequency and off we go. And, they'll have a joke with, it's all new to me, but I really don't think that they need training to come through mediums. I was taught old school who the mediums would teach us that. I don't believe it anymore from the amount of mediumship I do these days and how instantly they'll want to come through, yet they've never been through a medium before. They totally did not believe in mediumship. They would bag mediums. They would bag life after death communication. So my answer is I don't think that they need to be trained. I think it's just the rapport you have with your sitter and your medium and the medium's capability and training.
Once our loved ones have passed over, can they influence our future, or are they separate from that path?
So I think we've got two parts to this one, so we'll just double check because you are going to ask if they can prevent an accident as well. Yeah. So, okay, we're going to check on that one. So can they influence our future? Only to the point of if you're going to be in a situation where you could be hurt before your time, they are able to bring your presence there. But it's actually the consciousness, the higher energy. People might want to refer to it as guides. That's up to them, depending on their evolution, their training. But it's actually just the consciousness that will bring you out of harm's way because you're not meant to be in that vibration at that moment. Your vibration and thought process got you there, which means you need to wake up to yourself and have a look at what's going on with your own thought process, but it's saying now's not the time. So your loved ones are there, an aspect of their energy is there watching, okay, of what's going on, but it seems to be the consciousness that steps in and says it's not the time, removes you from that situation, and you're back in the fold again, trying to work on yourself. A lot of people don't. They just go back into the same patterns and have more accidents and dramas. They don't tend to find, do I need to work on myself? Was it my thought process? Am I doing something wrong? So yeah, really good question.
Now this one's a long one.
Mm-hmm.
How can I tell if my loved one in spirit is trying to communicate with me? Is there any way to encourage this contact? Can they produce items of significance, for example, apports or smells of significance?
Beautiful. So a good question. Well, first part being, how can I tell if my loved one's trying to communicate? So you've got to set the intent. And again, it's your grieving level. So if you're getting around with, really heaviness about you, heartache, struggling, loneliness, that's a low vibration. It's very hard because they work on such high frequency to try and step through. So the more that you're meditating, you're setting the intentions in your energy, can you communicate with me, then they can. Now, if you're looking for physical signs, set what the signs are. So a lot of people just say butterflies, birds, higher things, number plate numbers. They can then all of a sudden bring your head to the attention of, well, look at that number plate, that's for you. Look at there's a butterfly, and so they're just all of a sudden bringing your attention to things that were there previously. Look, there's a rainbow in the sky, I've put that there for you. So that's a very, very good question. I study a really rare form of mediumship, and there's not a lot with this intent in the world where we do physical mediumship looking for physical apports. So what we can find is when we set the intent for the other world, our loved ones, and say, can you bring us through? There's been studies for a very long time. They're able to bring significant items from the other world, like brooches that meant something, coins, what else have we got? Rings, jewelry that they wore, they are able to bring through. So I only study what would mean something. So I do not endorse mediumship where people are saying they're proving loved ones have passed over by producing reckless jewels and things, because if it's not relevant to a person that's passed, like they owned it, I don't see the point. So I only want to live a life where I can be honest and give everyone absolute proof that our loved ones are trying to communicate. So ports to me are everything. We've had an antique cotton reel, a port, in a group with 10 people sitting there, and it just appeared. when we sat one night, and it was so significant on that day. We've had 16 in total now, Abraham Lincoln coins. I didn't understand why they were just applauding and dropping to the ground in front of different people. But when you Google Abraham Lincoln and these little pennies, it says that he had two mediums work with him, Nettie Colburn and C.L. Richmond, which meant a lot to us, because maybe there is, more proof that these people that are passed also try and work with groups that are of good intent. So I'm really very skeptical, and we want to prove that apports are real. So yes, they are. And as for smells, this is very beautiful. So I try and encourage anyone that comes for a reading to me to say, when you're meditating before you go to sleep also, say to your loved one, come through and bring through me a familiar smell. That is such an amazing thing. Could be the hair oil they use, the hairspray, their favorite perfume. I had a funny one once where the young man was very naughty, and you can imagine what he used to do. And the mum would say it was happening really regularly, where she could smell this smell. It's her, your people just saying, I'm there, this is what I can do. So very important, it's all about your vibration and getting into that space of saying, can you prove to me, working on yourself. And if you meditate, you're in this beautiful space. If you're doing yoga, you change your energy, so we drop everything that's happening in the world. So have I covered that now with the ports, and that, does it cover all those questions? Yes. Oh, good. So yes, so please look for reports, please look for signs. Very, very important.
Can spirit hear us when we talk to them? Do they prefer or require us to talk out loud, speak softly, or can they still hear us when you speak to them telepathically, for example, in your head without others hearing?
So they actually hear telepathically. But if you feel that you need to say it vibrationally, well, it's in your aura then. So it's just going to be your personal choice. But everything is communicated. When we bring all the loved ones through that are passed over, they're not actually speaking to us. Some mediums will say that. And I must admit, sometimes it slips out of me, they say, but they're actually not. They're actually just placing the things in my mind, and I convert them to a language. And I remember doing just recently, this lovely girl came for a reading just a week ago. And I said, and I've got your dad here, and he says this and this and this and that. And I just slipped out that I said this, I said that. I said, but he places in my mind these things, you would understand this, and this is his name and all that. And she just gasped, and she said, he doesn't speak English, don't you? And I said, yeah, but it's not a problem. So language isn't a problem in the other world. And, I used to care for a lady that was unable to speak or talk. Very easily, she will come through mediums on a regular occasion, and she will alter their hands, and they will start talking with their hands because she did. So we do not need to have a voice, and you do not need to speak for them. You've just got to set it in your mind that this is what you want, and it will go. So wonderful questions. What's the next one?
If people who have passed aren't trapped, why are there such things as hauntings and paranormal activity?
So a really, really good question. Again, it'll depend on the training of the medium, how they answer this. So I can only speak on my personal experience and my extensive training as a nurse and as a regressionist and as an evidential medium. So what I find is, if someone has passed in a traumatic circumstance, there's an emanation, a vibration that's left here on the planet. And often people will say that they can walk into a room and it feels disharmony, and there's been an argument or something of someone previously in there, or the owners used to fight in the house. So it's an emanation that we leave. So people have to learn on this earth, and most people don't, that whatever your thoughts are, you are carrying them in your aura, which then goes to the ethers of the furniture, the walls of a place, and of the aura of the surface of an area that's been in there. So from what I can see is, I've never found anyone be trapped or and to be stuck here, but an aspect of their feeling of the energy of how they felt about their life. Because my theory is we keep taking the creator, the beautiful consciousness out of it if we say that they are stuck here on this earth, because it orchestrates everything with us here. So I've never found, it seems to be a Christian belief that we've been educated that certain people will go to hell or be trapped and need helping over. And then it's also, some witchcraft, which I do not go into. I'm not interested. I only want to do what I can prove. So, I have been fortunate to bring through people that have been murdered. They've not been trapped. But yet people will say that they live in the house now and they really feel the energy of the sadness of what happened. But it's a different feeling than knowing that. So my answer is I do not believe to this point. I've got no proof myself. It's all hearsay and what other people believe to be true. So I can only go on from the 9 years that we've had a physical medium circle where we have brought through plenty of people that have passed over through murder. And we've not felt that energy. They just temporarily show you that we feel their energy because it's a blueprint. So however we pass on this earth, there is a little energy of you that comes through the medium or the person working to feel them, and they show you that's what I felt like before I passed, and then it's gone. So they don't have that feeling anymore, but that's in their energy of their soul because they need to work on that again. So I hope that answers that question. I don't believe that I think so. I do believe the second part I didn't answer. So how do we account for then, activity in people's houses? When I myself have been to the house or interviewed the people involved, I find that if the people involved love drama, love making drama in their life, if they love scary movies, witchcrafty things, ghosty movies, they tend to blow things out of proportion. I usually find that if there's drug use, be it prescription drugs use or illegal drug use, recreational or alcoholism, then again, it's all getting blown out of proportion. So I find that comes up a lot with the people. Other than that, I find that it's their own loved ones trying to get their attention, that they're not on their own life path, because your soul group knows certain incidences and lessons, as people would call it, or experiences that you are going through, and they're trying to help you say, hey, wake up, snap out of this, work on yourself, and this will stop. So people, they'll be opening doors and shutting things, trying to say, I'm here with you, I haven't passed away, there is no death, it's continuation of the soul, I'm right here with you. So I do believe often it's your own group of people trying to get your attention, so it's not a stranger to yourself.
The next question is, how should we react when those we love have passed try to communicate with us?
How should we react when loved ones have passed try to connect with us? So wonderfully and excitedly, I think that we all should be working on being more intuitive. So I encourage everyone to work on themselves through meditation, quiet sitting, and feeling the presence of the other world. And, and knowing that we are always protected, so you don't have to put rings of protection around yourself, because you are then taking the consciousness out of the picture. So, it's like attracts like. So if you, if you're doing something illegal or drugs or prescription drugs or an alcoholic, and then you want to feel the presence of other people that have passed over, I don't know about your readings, and I don't know how you'll be feeling certain things, because it won't be a true vibration. So the more you work on yourself, that you're a clean vehicle, a clean soul to feel the presence of our own loved ones, then you get true readings yourself that you feel. So I hope that makes that clear. The cleaner the channel you work on yourself, the more you work on your own prayers, the meditation to only consume products yourself of, I'm plant-based because I only want to eat love and kindness, so I have no fear or anxiety or stress in my energy. So then I can get a good reading of people's loved ones. So I hope that answers. Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between the soul and the consciousness?
So from what I can see, we have a soul. People would, and again, depending on your culture, what people will refer to as the soul. But the easiest way I like to think of it as that we have this soul that is eternal with us, but we are actually an aspect of the consciousness. So you are actually the consciousness yourself. and which we weren't taught. We were taught that it was a separate identity and that it was a man in the sky with a grey beard, and we answered it to it. But if we look at any of the Eastern philosophies and their studies, and through the twice that I've passed myself for 8 minutes and then 10 minutes the second time in accidents, all I met was this energy. So, and I called it a consciousness because it's just so amazing and full of love, and it knows everything and emanates this feeling. So I love to people to sit in meditation and try and contact it regularly, and you will feel its presence. You will feel and imagine that you're focusing on it between your beautiful third eye, as people refer to it as. If you sit there, it will be able to send you messages and heighten your intuition. So we are an aspect of the conscious, our soul. Mm-hmm.
How do babies present as souls in the afterlife?
Really, really great question. Will ask also, with that question, are we asked, is there anyone there to meet the babies, or how do we bring those through? So let me do this in 2 parts, because I truly, truly love bringing through babies for people, be it miscarriage, be it termination, loss of baby. I love bringing through a loved one first who has their baby. So depending on what you need, I myself always want to bring them through at the age they passed. But then I will say in the reading, I know that they would be this age now had they lived. So there's always a loving soul there to collect your baby. So there's no baby, whether or not you've had to make that decision of having it terminated for any reason, or loss or accident. There is always a beautiful person of your own group to take the baby. And sometimes it's quite fun because, I might bring through a father who has here to apologise for how he's treated someone here on this earth, but he says, I've got your baby and I'm making it up to you for your perceptions of your life, because he's aware of why you had to have certain experiences. So I hope that covers that they appear as you need to appear. I was taught old-fashioned, which I do not use now because it's not real to me. I was taught that we were to bring them through at the age they are right now, and they're appearing as this. I can't substantiate that. I can only do what I know is real and what happens with us in trance, and they will appear at the age of their passing, but a number may come up, or information that I know I would be this age now, or sometimes I'll sing their birthday. It's their birthday coming up, and it'll be a significant birthday, and I know I didn't meet that birthday. They keep their form for as far as I can see. Am I right? So keep what age they pass.
Do people who have taken their own life or tragically taken someone else's life experience a cleansing process, or do they go to a place that people refer to as hell?
So the answer is clearly no. Okay, I know that sounds pretty hard on a lot of people, but from all the work I do, it seems to be that because of who our soul has been previously, what I cannot get through enough to everyone is, your soul is eternal, and because it's had many, many experiences, and as I mentioned in other videos, this place on earth is not the only experience we can have. So we can have an experience in many places in the cosmos, and an aspect of you is an aspect of me. So we don't need retraining when we come over to the etheric veil, and sadly I hear mediums say that people on level 5, 6, they're not available and all that. It's just because a medium can't bring them through. It's not, and it's often a lack of training or their training. So, from what I can see from all the work and all the regressions I do, no one has ever said to me, I'm in this level, I've got to be retrained, I've got to do these things, so no evidential work ever. So I've only got to say what I do, and I just keep it real from what I know. I don't want to offend anyone else, and I don't want to get any hate mail from anyone else. So it's only what I know, and you've got to see that in this world, no one actually ever hurts us. We've got to look at everything as this is in our experience to see if we will be loved in all experiences. So once we get our head around that everyone in your life that you think has hurt you is an aspect of your creator, of your larger soul, they are you. So then our ego steps out of it. Otherwise, you're going to say, your past lives. You don't. No one will ever do it. And I've regressed people, and I met a man who had 52 regressions. you can't know all your past lives. It's impossible. So because we are an aspect of this higher being. So I hope that answers it. There is no levels of retraining because we are back to the consciousness. We are that. You ask for an experience because of your thoughts in this life, your actions towards all sentient beings is all karmically coming back to your energy, which will play out. So if we have, thoughts in this life that aren't congruent with what we're supposed to be, it causes disharmony, which will create disease in your life, and your body will become dysfunctional, and you'll pass, and then there'll be repeat. The life will be back again, and it'll be harder for next incarnation.
So just back to that question too, to reiterate, you don't believe there's a hell?
No, so I've never found, and it's a good question to bring up, it seems to be a Christian belief, and I was raised in that as well. There's a fear-mongering, but there doesn't seem to be any purgatory or any place of containment, and I brought through murderers, and they're not there. They just came through as easy as, talking to you and I today in this. So there seems to be different ways that we perceive it depending on our training. And what you've got to understand is too, you might be listening to this video and go, oh my God, I get some of that. And then some of the other things you might go, I actually don't get it. That'll be because of how many incarnations you've had and how much you want to work on your spiritual self. So that's really important. So, you might have two friends that say, oh no, there's definitely a hell and there's definitely this, and it's okay to hurt animals and eat them and everything. But you might be starting to become enlightened and start to say, oh, I've got to be love, I've got to be kindness, I can only consume that. So you can't force your opinions on other people. So I'm only speaking from what I've actually physically experienced now, which I'm really excited about, because I'm hoping this is going to bring great change, because we were never given this information before. And I really want to share it. I just think we need to get it out there that life is not as we've been taught at all. And I know the way I've been brought up, it was nothing like this. It is to be love and to be kindness.
Do different religions and different cultures experience a different afterlife?
So the answer is no. So it's because of, again, it's just the body and how many past lives you're having of a certain culture. So as I mentioned previously in the beginning of the video, no matter if you didn't believe in speaking to people that have passed over, that the soul was eternal, you're instantly able to be that. It's just a shell of your memory, your culture. When you go back to the etheric veil, being formless, you're privy to all knowledge until you choose another incarnation, and that'll be again depending on how you've worked on yourself. So there is no different places that different cultures will go to. And sadly, it wasn't that long ago I had to do mediumship for a lovely lady who had lost her sister tragically, who her sister had taken her life, and they were Catholic, and her sister had also taken her 3 children's lives, because she was on heavy medication and she was about to lose custody of her children. Her life was in a real mess. Now, she'd been buried separately, different states, because they were Catholic, and they said that, that was the way we were to do that. And she believed that their souls wouldn't be together. It's not true. So the mum was definitely with the kids. She physically came through the night before in our trance room to prove that they were all together happy, and that there was a much bigger plan on why this has to happen for everyone that's left here on the earth. So it's often for us as participants in different things that happen, for us to go into our soul and say, how will we get through this? How will we help other people change their lives to look at things differently when things like this happen to us?
Do people who have passed re-enter this world reincarnated into loved one's life in a different body?
So an aspect of them can, yes. And I've done regressions where the person will say, you're not going to believe this, and they'll come out dumbfounded. So because we are not a solid form, your soul goes back to the consciousness, an aspect of you is incarnated as well. So and another way of saying it is that you and I are incarnated. We are a part of each other. So we're all part of the same soul group. So there is no colour in the other world, so there is no creed, colour when we go back over to this side. We are all just this one soul. So yes, often people will say that I've got a new member in my family and I swear that they're a member that's passed. They are. But then they're also an aspect of other people as well. So the soul group just keeps growing. So it's a good question.
How long after their passing will my loved one reincarnate?
So we can't prove that. There's no, if we listen to some Buddhist philosophies say within 39 days, all we can prove is, if we look at the original Sanskrit teachings, is that we return back to source. So we don't know physically how quickly it can be. And then also, where do you choose to go? And I've done many regressions where people will say we're not from this world, or we're choosing not to go to that place called Earth. We're going elsewhere. So you've got to think of it as a much bigger picture. They're not always going to come straight back in. You will always, for all your life on Earth, be able to feel their presence if you meditate and get into a good space. And so anyone that tells you they're not available, it will be just something issue they're having with that person themselves, their lack of training, or could be their state of mind on that day, or the rapport they have with you. So you will always feel an aspect of your people if you choose to. If you find you're not, it's because of your mood, you haven't meditated, you're not getting your head in a quiet space, you've got things going on. That's the only reason why you haven't been feeling them around.
The last question is, can you help me understand reincarnation and how that works?
Good question. Can I help you understand reincarnation, how it works? So really, if we just take it back to that you are formless, an aspect of you returns back to the higher source consciousness, whatever you want to nickname that sphere of energy. You can have an incarnation where you need to. Some regressions I do, we negotiate what we need to have done for our evolvement. So everything that we do in this life has stayed with you in your energy, in your soul, and it goes back here to the etheric veil. You assess that when you leave this world with your creator, the energy, the higher consciousness, and things that you were not successful in. So any experience that you were not loved with, or anything that you've created new karma. So if you've hurt sentient beings, it brings new energy of a lower negativity to you that you've got to fix for another incarnation. So it can be, it's got to be negotiated with yourself and that. So we're never forced into anything. And I've met many people that have said, I've been to a medium. The medium said I'm an old soul. I've met many people that come and say to me, I don't have to come back. This is my last time. That's not real. It's not real. It truly isn't. And when I've regressed them, they come to the other space. If your group needs you in a hurry, of course you're going to come back. It depends on how they end up in their experience as well. So it's much more complex than what people say generally with these terms. So the big thing I really want to stress enough is, please do not say the word forgiveness. Okay, I hear it all the time that I forgive someone for doing something to me. Because you ask previous to coming here for an experience with that person, so you can evolve through something that you have started in another incarnation. So, people say, I forgive someone for passing in a certain way. It's always for your higher evolution that all your group leave in any way. It's so that you work on yourself to help other people through it. So everything's with acceptance and love. So if you think someone has hurt you in your life, send them love and acceptance, and see them as part of you and part of the highest energy. It equates everything. Then there's no more energy attached to that. There's no more ups and downs for you. There's no more disharmony in your cells creating disease. You're just at peace. So I want to thank everyone for the wonderful questions. I hope that's answered a lot and helped a lot with transition. So there is no such thing as death. We are eternal. Our soul is part of a higher consciousness. I am you, you are me, you are the consciousness. It appears as you need to. So if you need a religious belief, it'll appear to you to do that as well. Your loved ones, an aspect of them is always able to be contacted with you, and it depends on your state of emotion at that time. So the more you pray and you meditate, they are able to do that, and of course they just transmit through love through into your mind. So thanks again for joining us. I really appreciate the opportunity of answering all these questions today. Been some terrific questions, so thank you all for writing in. And I hope that opens our mind to a lot bigger answers in the universe. So thanks again.